Coming up on Newsnight, we say hello to the University of Akron's Vice President of Strategic Engagement, Jim Tressel. And we say goodbye to retiring Summit County Sheriff Drew Alexander. That's next on Newsnight. Welcome to Newsnight for November 16, 2012. I'm Jody Miller. On this week's program, we have an opportunity to introduce you to two extraordinary gentlemen. A little bit later on in the program, we'll welcome retiring Summit County Sheriff Drew Alexander. But first, I get an opportunity to introduce you to the University of Akron's new Vice President of Strategic Engagement, Jim Tressel. It was earlier in this year that the university invited Jim to become part of the university, being part of its Vision 2020, its strategic plan for the future. Jim heads up the Akron experience. Now, unarguably, Jim is best known for his 35-year-long career as a football coach. But at the university, he's a coach of a different sort. He's an educational coach. He's coaching all students, not just athletes. And in the process, he has probably become the university's best recognized ambassador. Jim, welcome for joining us.
Thanks, Jody. It's good to be here. And I didn't realize when Dr. Proenza asked me to be a part of his team that working with 29,000 students was exhausting compared to working with 105. But it's been so much fun, and was really Dr. Proenza's Vision 2020, that really just caught my attention. That one of his lead statements to me was that for some reason in higher education we rate or rank people by the number of people they exclude and how much we can charge people. And that's not what we do at the University of Akron. We have a pathway for everyone. We want success for everyone. We want the Akron experience to be a part of everyone. And we're really working extremely hard with one of the really newsworthy things that's going on, and that's this student debt. And we're trying to figure out ways to come up with initiatives and pathways and things that our people can move to completion and complete their studies here with as little debt as they can possibly have. Right now, student debt is over $1 trillion in our nation, which is mind-boggling, more than credit card debt.
Right.
And so it's an exciting thing to be a part of. It's an exhausting thing to be a part of. At one point, for 35 plus years, I was part of a segment of a university, and then now sitting in and looking over the entire scope of the university, it's been a learning curve that's been amazing.
Well, and I have heard from a lot of sources that you are probably the hardest working individual at the university. You get in very early in the morning, you stay very, very late, and so you are engaged with all aspects of the university, but like you said, particularly the students. The 29,000 students.
Well, and that's what keeps you excited. I spent my whole life working with young people. I don't think I could be in a position that I wasn't with young people of all shapes, sizes, goals. We just had a student transfer day a week ago, and had a young lady come in who had been working at an engineering firm right out of high school, didn't go to college and so forth, and the people at the company said, you know, you really have the ability to be an engineer. We'll fund you if you'll go to the University of Akron to go make that happen. And she was coming in, and she's still going to be working her 40 hours and going to be taking courses in the evening. And success stories like that, even though they don't make the front page like a quarterback might make or a national championship or whatever, just feeling the excitement, the innocence, the gratitude of students, it's exciting.
But how do you do that? How do you, in fact, touch the lives of each of those students and not only make sure they're in the right major, let's say, but when they do get their degree, that they have a job, because that's a key.
Well, you know, you've said it all there. As I spent my first month kind of just following Dr. Proenza around and having him introduce me to all of the facets of the institution, we then sat down and we said, okay, let's craft this division of strategic engagement. And what he decided to do was move some of the component parts into a division under him, and would be my group that I would work with day and night. And it begins with admissions, giving kids opportunities, helping them get ready to prepare themselves to get to college, financial aid, registrar, admissions department, and so forth. Then on into the advising area, where we have a tremendous cadre of advisors for our general students who haven't maybe decided what that major is, or for our advisors within our colleges. Our career placement area happens to be in our division, and you hit it on the head. I think what a parent wants and what a student wants when they come to the university is to know that this work they're putting in, this investment they're making, which is expensive, is going to lead to a job.
Right.
And then some of the other areas like our counseling and our Office of Accessibility and those types of things, everything leading to whatever the student needs to make sure that they leave here prepared to compete in a very competitive world. When you and I were probably coming out of college, the United States kind of ran the show from a global standpoint. We've got competition all over the world, and our students have to be ready to compete in that global competition. And I love competing. I love seeing if we can be the best. You know, that's what drove me every day in coaching, and I'm excited about the division that Dr. Proenza created so that we can touch those students, make sure all the things are taken care of, so that then the faculty, with their expertise and with their mentoring and their guidance, can only worry about preparing those students for readiness.
Part of your job also involves reaching out to alumni, does it not? And why is that important in this whole Akron experience?
You know, that's kind of an unwritten part. Because we think our alumni are the key to all of the parts of our division. We need our alumni to help us recruit. We need our alumni to talk to people in their community saying, hey, the University of Akron prepared me. I'm working and I'm living here and I'm enjoying a life because of the University of Akron. So we call our group of volunteer alums the RU Crew. And some of our RU Crew are helping in admissions. Some of them are helping in advising, mentoring, tutoring, helping folks write resumes, making sure that people are ready to interview. They're also helping in our career placement area, helping us come up with internships and co-ops and relevant learning opportunities. And we're going to our alums who have businesses and say, we need these kids to be able to go out and show what they can do, and we think they'll be so good that you'll say, I have to have them on my team. And so our alumni, I think, are going to be the key to the future of completion more quickly, more efficiently, job placement right off the bat, and keeping that loan indebtedness down so that we're not floating around for 5 or 6 or 7 years with a lack of direction. Our alums can show them, here's where this degree leads.
You were a graduate student at the University of Akron years ago. When you first came back to the campus, were you surprised at how it had changed?
You know, it's interesting. I had always been in Northeast Ohio recruiting, whether I was coaching at Youngstown State or Ohio State or wherever. Stops always happened at St. V and Walsh and Firestone and Garfield and Buchtel and all the rest. So I'd been in Akron a lot. I really hadn't been on the campus. But every time I was in town or every time I was talking to a fellow University of Akron alum, they would always say, you can't believe the transformation that has occurred physically. It's mind-boggling. The university, one of the proudest things I have about this university that I'm not sure we talk about enough, is the investment that the university has made into the community. $650 million worth of construction, which is jobs, which is opportunities for people. The investment has been amazing. The courage that Dr. Proenza and his boards of trustees over the course of time saying that, hey, we can be something extraordinary, that's quite an investment into a community. To me, that has made, you know, these downtown streets and so forth, when I was in graduate school, there was nothing going on. And those now, you see restaurants and you see things happening and lights going on and people walking. And I'm so proud of what the university has contributed to this society.
Well, we can't not talk football, obviously. And I want to go back to May of 2011. You resigned from the university, or from the Ohio State University, due to some NCAA rules violations. I was critical of you at the time, as many were. But you are a man of integrity. And I can't imagine how difficult that last season of coaching was for you. I've come to understand that things are not always black and white. Is that the kind of dilemma you faced at that time, Jim?
Well, I think whenever you're working with young people, nothing is ever black and white. My last year really wasn't any more difficult than the first 25 as a head coach, because when we brought a young person into our program, we told the parents sitting in the living room that we were going to protect them and treat them like they were our own. And, that's not always easy, especially under the huge microscope and bright lights of a place like Ohio State. Those young people who all of a sudden are stars, we never really had any types of problems or issues when it came to our student athletes and students, because students are just students.
Right.
It was the adults that wanted to get near our student athletes, and all of a sudden you've got the 45-year-olds who want to hang around the teenagers, and it was probably a confusing thing for students. To think, I wonder why, these people want to be next to me or want to do things for me or whatever. So that was difficult for 25 years. I think the popularity of sport, because of the constant television coverage and the notoriety and the money it generates, made those young kids' situations even more difficult. And they're 18-year-olds, they're 19-year-olds. They haven't been out in the world and might not have the sense at times to know the difference between someone who's just trying to be a nice person or someone who's trying to wiggle into their world. So I have to say all 25 years were difficult, and as time went, because of the popularity, I think it became even more difficult for coaches and for student athletes.
Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes errors in judgment, but yours was so public. How did you survive that time, Jim?
Well, fortunately, my faith is deep. My family is extraordinary. I never had a question in my mind that anyone that I had ever worked with didn't know who I was and what I was all about. Sometimes when things are public and so forth, people who have never met you and never worked with you and never been a part of your day-to-day are going to draw judgments. And, it's easy to say, well, you can't worry about the people that don't know you or that don't know a situation. But what's most important is those people you have been around, what are their thoughts? And fortunately, the people that know me, the people that have worked with me over the years, the people that have been a part of my life and I a part of theirs, know what I'm all about, and they were a tremendous source of strength. And you never know why things happen. I always felt that I wanted to get into education at a larger level. When you're at a place like Ohio State and the roller coaster's going and the treadmill's going and the ego is being, lots of things being thrown your direction, it's hard to step off and think about what you might want to do next. So who knows why situations occur. Maybe it occurred because I did have that deep inside feeling that I wanted to be a part of education in a larger way, and here we are having an opportunity to work with 29,000 kids rather than 105.
Well, and unfortunately we're out of time for our televised portion of this program, but I do want to ask you to stay here. We're going to talk a little bit more about education. We're going to talk a little bit more about football, and I'm going to urge our viewers to go to www.newsnight.net to hear our extended discussion.
For more NewsNight content, including extended discussions, full interviews, and the chance to speak your mind about the issues, join us online at newsnight.net.
Welcome back to the second segment of Newsnight. And again, I want to remind you that at newsnight.net, we do have extended discussions, and the discussion that Jim Tressel and I had after I completed his televised interview is really something you should go online and check out. This second interview for me is a little bit bittersweet. It was 12 years ago when I did one of the first newsmaker interviews for Newsnight, and my guest was the newly elected sheriff of Summit County, Drew Alexander. Like I said, that was 12 years ago, and in those 12 years, Drew has become a friend. It's gratifying to welcome him back to NewsNite, but it's sad because we are losing a pillar in our law enforcement community with his retirement. But Drew,
It's very nice of you to say.
no, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Very much so. I do want to ask you. You are recognized. You are. Let me put it this way. You are the least partisan candidate I have ever come across.
Yeah.
Politics doesn't matter to you. Law enforcement does.
Absolutely.
Why now? Why step down now?
I'm 67, and I did not want to be sheriff at 70 years old. I wanted to start doing some things. I love my job. I've loved all 40 years of it. But I think there's time when we needed a new blood in the agency, new ideas. There's some great people at the sheriff's office, and I think with some new ideas coming in, I think it'll kind of give kind of an infusion to the agency and maybe lift up morale some and kind of kick them in the rear end a little bit. They're going to want to get out and do more, and they're going to want to show the new sheriff how good they are, and they are very good. So.
Describe for us what do you do as sheriff? What does a sheriff of an urban county do?
It's you spend a lot of time making friends and trying to connect things, and we have almost 600 employees, so we're not a small agency. I once had a Citizens Academy member at our banquet say he always thought the sheriff's office was just me and my brother-in-law. He had no idea how large we were and how diverse. We have so many resources. With those resources comes a lot of responsibility, and even with budget cuts and things, we have a responsibility to train our officers. Training is huge in law enforcement, especially in an urban county. And we spend a lot of our seizure money and things like that on equipment and training that I'm allowed to by law. The sheriff, I think the best thing I did was Larry Gibbs and I put a plan into effect. We called a 5-year plan. We looked at our talent at that agency and we thought, who do we want to get into decision-making positions down the road? And we pretty much succeeded on that. A lot of the people we were looking at come through for us. They scored high on competitive exams. They allowed us to promote them, to maneuver them in throughout the agency where they were the biggest asset to me. And I would honestly say today I have the best management crew I've ever had. They're outstanding. My jail commanders, my investigative commanders, my operation commander is probably the most knowledgeable man on the sheriff's office, Brad Whitfield. And so what I do now is I go to them, and I'm a great delegator, and I talk to them all the time about what we should be doing, and I trust their decisions. They're excellent. So it's pretty good shape right now, the sheriff's office.
Like you said earlier, you've had a 40-year career in law enforcement. So in that 40 years, Drew, how have you seen the field, the career change in terms of maybe staffing, in terms of criminals, in terms of a variety of things?
Well, obviously the social media problems that we have today we've had to branch out. Something we were caught short-handed at is computer crimes, and we're still way behind on everybody. And Akron University, we went to the University of Akron and told them our problem with computer forensics. And they have actually started a college on this to train people. We've worked real close with Akron U and getting commitment from them to bring those people into the law enforcement field to help us. Because we have a 6-month wait now on any porno crime, child pornos, things of that nature. It's changed. The law enforcement officer today kind of reminds me of athletics. Even though my generation of officers are in pretty good shape, these guys are in great shape. They work harder. Their education is a little bit higher. The criminal himself, other than our social crimes and the computers and that, but the random thugs and that, because of the drug problem out there in the street, that still takes up most of the officers' time. That just calls for service handling drug incidents. So if that part, we were doing that 40 years ago, but today it's probably enhanced tenfold.
There are a couple of specific areas I would like to address with you, and one, of course, is the jail, because that is one of your primary responsibilities. How much of what you do as a sheriff and how much of what your staff does, how much of that is directed to handling prisoners?
60%, 70%.
Okay.
It's a full-time. We have over 300 deputies working at the jail, and
that's about half of your staff.
Yes, it's a lot of responsibility, and I'm very proud of the fact that we're one of the few jails in the nation to be able to reduce our population. There was a day when we always had over 800 inmates. Today we're down under 600. Today's count I think was 612. And this is for a long weekend too. We have worked with the courts, pretrial services, which is gold, probation, my people. We put it all together and we started getting these people back out. The ones that should be on bond, we've been able to get them out on bond, and it's reduced our population, which has made it safer for the deputies and of course the inmates. The problems at the jail is if we have 608 or whatever the count is today, probably 140 of them are on psychotropic drugs. So the mental health issue comes right to the forefront on everything. Our agency was haunted. We had National Center for Corrections come in and do a study on our jail. And one of the things she was a PhD said is the Mark McCullough ghost still hangs over this jail. We constantly, there isn't a week goes by we don't talk about the Mark McCullough case. It was a terrible time for us, and there are other Mark McCulloughs in that jail today. We're going to have deaths in that jail. You have 600 plus people that have drug and alcohol problems. They're very suicidal. They're sick people, and we're not getting the treatment for them they should have.
And they don't belong in jail.
No, they certainly don't. And we're going to have more deaths at the jail, and we try to explain this to people. We do a lot on suicide prevention. We really are hard working at this. The deputies are, but we're going to lose people. And unfortunately, there's going to be another Mark McCullough. The big difference on this one is when we have a Mark McCullough that we have to go in and subdue because he's inflicting injuries to himself, we're going to film it, and it's going to be much more controlled. And it's not going to be officers dashing in there trying to do something to prevent this. We're going to go in. We've trained. We're much better prepared today to handle the Mark McCullough of today than we were 6-7 years ago.
Well, just recently, you indicated that you didn't want to take any of the violent offenders who may in fact have mental health issues. Has anything been done in that regard in terms of partnerships in the community?
No, not really. We still talk. Myself and the ADM board, we bump heads a lot, and this is no disrespect towards them, but I just don't think they get it, what's going on at the jail. If we have that many people that are that sick in that jail, and we're still asking for alternative programs for these people, get them out of my jail. We need another Falls View or something. I'm certainly not the expert on this subject. But what we're doing is wrong. We've been complaining for 6 or 7 years. We've had an agency partially destroyed over it. We've had 5 lives, the deputies that were involved, really affected by this. And yet today we go on in our mental health society like nothing happened. We're dealing with it. We have a lot of meetings. We're great at talking. We sit down and talk. Some of the plans that have come out of these meetings are good. The interceptor plans, to deal with them as when they leave jail. There is a percentage that are staying on their meds because of some help once they leave the jail. But we're still 130 people on psychotropic drugs in my jail today. So,
meth labs are extraordinary in this county. And someone asked me, is it a question of we have such good law enforcement that we know that we're out there getting these meth labs? And talk about that, but also talk about the danger to the public of meth labs.
You're right. We do have aggressive law enforcement on this. My drug unit and Akron PD, they do a fantastic. We do more meth labs in Summit County than the rest of the state combined. We have a lot of meth labs here. I don't know what the attraction is. The drug screens that we hear about in Cuyahoga County and the drug of choice up there still is cocaine and heroin. As compared to Summit County. We don't know why meth seems to be the popular drug here. We are very hard working on it. The problem with the mom and pop labs, so you have two different sets. You have the Mexican cartel methamphetamine coming in. which is a very powerful destructive drug. Then you have what the mom and pop labs, and these are the ones that affect our environment. Is they'll throw, we've done some ads on, they'll throw their bottles out in the street. They'll use quart bottles, plastic bottles. They'll cook it in the back seat. They'll throw these out there. Your children are walking home from school. They might kick this open. They dump their products into the ground, which gets into. We had one that was next to a schoolyard, and we don't know what they were dumping there. So it does get back into our environment. It's very hazardous to the environment. If for no other reason, we have to knock these labs off just to get them out of our community.
Right.
So.
Exactly. Last year, we came to your office and we filmed a program about concealed carry, because that was when the state decided that you could, guns could be in establishments that had alcohol. I have to ask you if there has been a rise in any problem with that.
None whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
I still am an advocate for more training. I want them to have more training. It's not going to happen, but I would love to see them get more training. I would like to see us in law enforcement that have the resources like my training center to offer more training to these people. We might have to charge to pay for the deputies' time. I have some terrific gun people out at the training center. So I would like to get people that really aren't, they know they're not really qualified to carry a gun with 12 hours training. Maybe we in law enforcement could do something to get them where they are qualified to carry that weapon.
I got about 15 seconds here left on the televised portion. What's your greatest accomplishment in 12 years?
Well, I think the jail population, getting that down, probably, and letting people know the best kept secret in Summit County is the Summit County Sheriff's Office. So,
great, great.
Yeah.
Oh, stay with me, because we're going to continue our discussion on NewsNite.net. Thank you for joining us, and stay with us for next week when we come back to you and we have Bob Denton with Victim Assistance. Thank you for joining us. Again, NewsNite.net. Good night.